Welcome to Old Guys Still Rock. Super grateful you gave us a look or a listen. We specifically developed this podcast for friends or soon to be friends who are in the 40 plus category. This podcast is a platform to not only have your voices be heard, but also for others who are going through the same thing and know that they too aren't alone. Our topics may be business, topics may be entrepreneurship, our topics may be social, or our topics may be just everyday life. Whatever it is, we hope that you give it a share and leave us a comment. But most of all, if you want your voice to be heard, please leave us a comment on how to get a hold of you so you too can be an old guy that still rocks and help build our community. Until we speak again, stay safe, but most of all, God bless. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome back. We are Old Guys Still Rock. If this is your first time here, I am Blair Armstrong of Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker, located in beautiful Indian Wells, California, where it's a nice and cool 108 degrees today. Super excited about that. And don't drink cold brew coffee in the heat. So anyway, with that being said, is we have Brent Wright. On my screen, he's in the middle. Usually, I think I'm going to end up in the middle. And then we have a Brent Wright Incorporated, good friend of mine for 30 years. He's located in Eugene, Oregon, and he's got a nice toasty 80 degrees in Eugene, Oregon. And we do have a very, very, very special guest, a brother of mine.
Literally.
For almost 51 years. Almost 51 years. Kelly Armstrong is located in gorgeous, gorgeous Maui. Kanapali, is that Morley, your city? Is that what you claim? The Kanapali of Maui?
Yep.
So Kelly
Just
Armstrong, welcome to our Old Guys Still Rock. Thank you for being a part of us. It was a little bit of logistics since you're 3 hours behind us. Brett and I are on our second breakfast the time that you get up in the morning. So,
well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
So it's good. So what's going on in your world, Mr. Armstrong?
You know, we're in a world of recovery right now with Lahaina and the fire and everything that's going on. Obviously, it's an election year, and what happened with the fire and the inaction that was taken by our local and state leaders, I think is what really has preempted a lot of people to take action in their own right, whether it be in the school districts or the local communities, everything else. But hopefully we'll start getting our first house going up, they said, in about 2 weeks, which will be really exciting for the people of Lahaina.
Yeah, and if any of you guys who have not been back there, it was last year, pretty close to this time, Chrissy and I had something planned to go out, and obviously Maui, my brother lives out there, so it's a great time to go see that part of the family out there. And about a week before we were supposed to go, the fires happened. And I remember calling Kelly and saying, you know, after a week after the fires were done, they were diminished. There was obviously still massive devastation out there. And one of the questions are like, is it worth coming? Should we come and like try to help out and contribute to that stuff? And he goes, there's just way too much going on. Stay away. So we actually came back out in October, I believe, was right around that time. And it hurts your heart to kind of see the massive devastation through that, because it was not just the fires. It was a massive devastation to multi-generational families. I mean, I would say hundreds of years, of family homes.
Yeah, and the ripple effect still hasn't even really hit. We have people that are leaving still in droves. They've literally outpriced the local community from being able to afford to live here. We've just been awarded the new favorite. We are least affordable place in America. Yay!
Hey, I thought California, you took my spot. Yes.
I know.
I guess I know real estate now.
Gavin Newsom's almost a good guy compared to our governor.
So as you guys know, we're actually in episode number 53 today. A big thing that we really wanted Kelly on here today is you've heard us say over 53 years, especially for Brent as he signs off when we leave at the end of the episode, is go make a damn difference. So while we have Kelly on here today, there's a couple things that we're going to announce here just shortly. But what you're going to hear today is guy taking what Brent says and actually doing it. So again, with that being said, as we get in going to make it a damn difference, you have an announcement today. I'm going to try to bring this up while you're talking. So what is something that you would like to share with the rest of the world?
That we're going to give it a go again. And I just submitted my nomination papers, and we will be running for state representative of the west side of Maui, District 14, once again.
How about that? So I don't know if you guys can you guys see this screen?
Oh yeah.
So there you go. So when you see that sign in Maui, this is the guy that's behind it. Again, is the cool thing about all of this is that there sometimes in society there's things that need to be fixed, and it seems like, and we've talked to Brent and I've talked about this a lot over the past couple episodes, is we can sit around and talk about the water cooler and complain and kick rocks down the road and say you should do this and you should do this. But until someone steps up and actually does something, and I know Brent's going to have something to contribute here in a little bit, but it's still, until someone does that, then it's just quiet conversation. So just really stoked. First of all, proud of my brother for stepping up and do this. I wish I had the goal to do this because it's a lot of work. So congratulations to you. So again, when you see this sign up there, go support him. We'll be getting this on. Get out of here for a second.
Yeah, it's off. See, this is why we're old guys still rock, because we have technical difficulties.
I didn't lose you.
No,
anyway, so Brent, you brought up something the other just right before we came on here of a quote that you had, and then I want to kind of give Kelly the floor of why he started this. Yeah. This actually started a couple of years ago with here. It's about why try again. But why don't you go ahead and say your little quote?
Yeah. So a couple things that we talk about on here often is faith without works is dead. And we really push that. And I think that we should support people who are doing that, even if we may not fully understand or fully embrace their movement. We should probably take some time to chat with them, to feel it out, figure out what it is, and see if we can make a damn difference by helping them as well. And it might change our trajectory a little bit in regards to our thought processes, our belief system, by getting another opinion on that. But I think faith without works is dead, and I think that's very important to know that. I also mentioned beforehand the Dylan Thomas poem. Do not go gentle into that. Good night, rage against the dying of the light. When Blair first started talking to me about that you were going to be on here and some of the background for why you're running, that was the first thing that popped into my head. And I've been paying attention to the universe for a little while here, a couple months, and I felt it important to bring up, and I wanted to get your take on that. Like, when you hear me say that, is that kind of summarizing, your whole purpose of running, or the whole purpose of what you're trying to accomplish? Tell us more about what you're trying to do so we can understand what it is that we're wanting to do.
Well, that was a perfect poem to state, because it's almost exact as to why some of us feel like we have to stand up and do something. I really didn't want anything to do with politics. I didn't want to have anything to do with politics in Maui. I must admit, I do enjoy getting upset at the televisions and being in the political world and screaming and yelling and watching old Joe Biden trip and fall and stuff like that. But what I was watching was all of us have a voice, but nobody was doing anything about it. And, we got to the point where where I was looking around and everybody was yelling and screaming how the world's falling apart. And here we are, a little island in the middle of nowhere. And yet that ripple wave seems to affect even those of us in Hawaii that sometimes feel detached from America itself. So I watched all the candidates submit their nomination papers back in 22, and I realized that there was nobody that stood for the morals and ethics that I believed in. And as I was watching the educational system crumble, we're number 48 in the nation in education. We're the least affordable state in the nation. We've been run by the Japanese political system since 1959. We haven't changed. We had 1 year out of all of those years where we had a conservative governor. She did an incredible job and was quickly ousted. During those 4 years that she was there, some fantastic changes were made. But we quickly went right back to the liberal policies that have driven most of the states that we're very familiar with, i.e. Oregon, California, Hawaii, Washington, D.C., right into the ground. So, I knew I was fighting an uphill battle. For those that don't know me, I've got a wife and 4 kids. My wife was a preschool teacher. I've got 2 of my kids on their way. One's out of the house. One's on his way out of the house, going to the University of Rome. Oldest one's in the National Guard. I consider myself a true patriot and a constitutional conservative. So what is a constitutional conservative?
Yeah.
So I think most people don't even know what that means. I think we've all identified as a Republican or a Democrat. And these days, I think a lot of us can be disgusted with both sides of the aisle and the inaction that's taken by both sides of the aisle. And so a constitutional conservative is a person that simply goes back to our founding documents. That's it. What is the First Amendment? What is the Second Amendment? What is the Third and up to the 10th Amendment? What were those rights that we were born with? And if we follow those guidelines, we are the greatest nation in the world. Unfortunately, we don't follow those guidelines anymore. They're trying to dismantle those guidelines. And simply all I'm here to do is try to fight for those guidelines for the people of Hawaii.
So I want to say something, I think that's a big thing, what you said too. It's not, we have been led to believe it's Democrat against Republican, and we've lost really what we're fighting for, and that's to be true Americans. And I think even the word patriot has been given in some social media platforms a negative platform. Or yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Mm-hmm. I don't think being a patriot is a bad thing. You could be a Democrat and be a patriot. You could be a Republican and be a patriot. You could be an independent and be a patriot. The purpose behind that word patriot is to stand up and fight for your country and not let powers to be to do some different things. So even though that you're running for a Republican seat, right? I'm sure that you have friends that are on the other side of the aisle and you have some agreement. And it really comes down to, and what I'm seeing out in this world is like we're kind of fighting for the same thing, but everything is getting mixed up in media and memes, and it's being convoluted, and it's keeping this, it's also, instead of being here, we're separating ourselves when we're really trying to fight for the common good. Are you in agreement with that?
Oh, yeah. If you think about it, we all really do want pretty much the same thing.
Right.
We want freedom. We want the ability to raise our families. We want to be able to afford the lives in our respective locations. We want our friends and our family and our loved ones all to get along. We want not to be in war. I don't know of any citizen that says, yeah, let's go to war. It's not the citizens that dictate the policies that occur around the world that drive us to war. Mm-hmm. And so, I think people always go, oh, you're a MAGA extremist. And I said, do me a favor really quick and just tell me what MAGA means. Can you just say those 4 words? And oh, you and your make America great again. I said, wow, that does sound extreme, right? Make America great again. Isn't that what we should all want? Flying the American flag. Shouldn't we all be proud of that? Sometimes yes, thank you. Sometimes in the state of Hawaii, the people in Hawaii would rather and prefer to fly the Kingdom of Hawaii flag. And I get
Sure.
that. I totally get it. They feel like the United States has stolen this territory and this kingdom from them. And in a lot of ways, they're 100% accurate. People always say, what happens if China came in and attacked Hawaii tomorrow? And we woke up the next morning and there's a Chinese flag flying all over the state of Hawaii. And Xi Jinping says, you're now in China. I would say, no, forget you. I'm in the United States of America. And they say, no, you're in China, and that's the way it's going to be. And that's the way the people of Hawaii felt when the United States infiltrated their kingdom. So I understand that completely, because we would all be disturbed by it.
Yeah.
Somebody said in the last debate 2 years ago, they said, would you be okay with giving the people the Kingdom of Hawaii back? And I said, absolutely. I have no problem with that. But until then, we better make sure we have people in office that understand the rules and laws that our current government runs by. And right now we don't. We don't have people. I mean, I don't mean to get too political here, but this just is a great example of the world that we live in today. The gal that beat me 2 years ago is a purple-haired meth addict who went to prison for armed robbery while pistol whipping a cop in the head with a gun. Mm-hmm. That's the leadership that we've seen in multiple states around the United States. And those are people that are put into position. They're not elected by the people. Mm-hmm. They're put into that position. And unfortunately, when the fire happened August 8th, that person was never to be seen. But what do we expect? And on a national level, unfortunately, that's precisely what we've seen.
Yeah, and Brent, jump in anytime you want to. You know me; I'm just going to jump on this horse and go. I think that's it's a big thing. Is sometimes, and what I hear you saying is there's people that are kind of put in place. And I get where you're going with that, but. And we could sit there, and I'm sure that you can sit around a coffee table and get people, where's this happening? I'm watching all these handouts come out too. And again, I'm not trying to go down a political aisle. I'm just trying to make a point of this. Getting all these, seeing all this money going to different countries and doing different things. We got a check for $750. We lost our whole home, and everyone's okay and not complaining about it again, but not doing anything about it. So, you told us kind of why you did it. You have your friends. You want to have this back and stuff. There it is. There's got to be another driving force for you to go ahead and because listen, you're going to get lambasted, brother. You are out. You're the square peg and trying to fit in a circle and in a very squeaky wheel. So knowing what you're going to go through, just take politics out of it. What is driving you to go ahead and make that difference, and regardless of what the outcome is, to make that difference, or at least start the pendulum to go back and get back into at least a center?
To me, it's really simple. My kids. I mean, that's it. If we don't do something, and if I'm walking around my house yelling at that TV screen, but I don't do anything about it, then what am I teaching my kids? Mm-hmm. If I don't take that action, what am I teaching my kids? So those of us that have opinions, that's great. Have all the opinions you want. Go do something about it. Mm-hmm. And, it's actually really, really scary for me because if I do win, I will take a pay cut in a way that I don't know how I will be able to afford moving forward. But it meant enough to me that I will have to figure out how to reinvent myself business-wise. And the one thing that I sure as heck will not do, because I know all of these people have been on the take, somehow they can afford to have a lavish lifestyle with these political positions when I know what they make. I know what I'm about to make. And that's not my goal. My goal is to actually go in, sit on the house floor, stir the pot, light a match, blow it up, not literally, figuratively, and let the people understand that I'm not there to be their friend. I am there to be the people's voice, and it has been absent for too many years. So if I get in there and I piss off a lot of people, then I'm doing exactly what I said I was going to do. And you're right. Yeah. I will be the only one. Well, it seems like we do have a few more running this time, so let's hope. But we need a team. We need an army, because there is no way that I can do it alone.
Brent, and I'm going to go back to you on this one too, is kind of what Kelly just said there. I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people with going back to, realistically, is a moral standard that was written up in, for the Constitution, and regardless of how Hawaii got taken and made part of the United States. But you brought up something a little bit earlier in this thing, and you're probably going to repeat yourself in there, is sometimes you have to ruffle feathers to become great, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not really Kelly becoming great. It's having Hawaii become, let's go use a magnet, have Hawaii become great again. I mean, they rely on tourism. If it's too expensive, people are not going to tour this. Kelly, you're in business over there, and you're hearing it right now. It's like, God, I really love coming here, but for $8 for a gallon of milk and $8 for a dozen of eggs, I can't afford coming here anymore. And there's got to be some sort of change. And as hard as that change is going to be, you had a quote for that, Brent, or some take on that you were talking about earlier, if you want to share that.
You always do this to me.
I know. But it was just something, it was more of a poem type of thing. I don't know if it was a Linkin Park song that you had.
Yeah, the Linkin Park song that I sent you. It's about action. And the whole thing's about action. Let me pull that up. I do have a little bit. So I do have a few things to ask and to chat about. So I just have to ask, because my wife calls me out. Blair's wife calls him out. They're like, they listen to the podcast and they're like, well, do what you just said on your podcast, guys. Seriously. Like,
Yeah.
Not that your wife's listened to the podcast. Maybe she has, maybe she hasn't. But did your wife say, why don't you shut up and quit yelling at the TV and go do something about it?
No, on the contrary, she said, no, don't you dare run for office. Don't you dare.
Okay.
She goes, I want nothing to do with this. This was 2 years ago, by the way. And, sometimes I'm known to ask for forgiveness instead of permission, right?
Amen.
So I quietly went and submitted my nomination papers, and she shook her head and going, I don't want any part of politics, and I don't want this to be my world. This time was very, very interesting. She said, if you're going to do it, you better do it this time. This is, it's now or never. I'm so proud of my wife. For those that don't know, my wife is from Germany. She became a U.S. citizen about 2 weeks ago.
Good job.
So after 25 years of being in the U.S. and holding a green card, everything, the green card, she had to do a renewal, got the green card back. No joke, you guys, this is crazy. The United States government goes through and vets all these individuals to get these green cards, right? She gets it back, and it's her face, but the rest of it isn't her. The whole thing, the information isn't her. And I said, honey, I think that's an omen. Maybe it's time just to go get the citizenship. And so she did. And it was really cool. She's going to be voting for the first time in the United States. And she's full on board on this.
And that's a process, right? That's like 3 years.
It's a process. And she is not a political person. She wants really nothing to do with it. Sometimes I'll say something to her and she'll basically say, so what are we having for dinner right afterwards? And that's her way of just avoiding it. But she does support me in whatever I do.
That's good.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. I'll save my question, but Brent, I know you have something else.
Yeah, I got about 4 things, and so we'll let you interject on a couple. So the song from Linkin Park is called One Step Closer. And if you listen to the lyrics, it's one step closer to taking action, to making things happen, to making a difference. And it goes down that whole thing. It's a good song from the 90s and 2000s. I don't remember what it was, but It's an old guy still rock song. But I
That's
wanted
scary.
to I wanted to comment on that. So, and I'm gonna head you down a road that some people may or may not like. But if you had a purple-haired meth addict who was running and who won against you, but had changed their life, made a damn difference, became, again, we all know that once you're an addict, you're always an addict, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or otherwise. But you can become a recovered, and you can go out and change your trajectory and change your direction and make a difference. And if that person had done that, would it be such a problem? Probably not, right? It doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on, right? As long as the common denominator is the same, because she wanted to make a difference and you wanted to make a difference. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle. But I think what you're saying is now it's a point of contention because she's not making a difference. She hasn't made a difference. She hasn't done anything to make a difference. And on top of it, now she's purple-haired and meth addict, right? Who's not probably recovered. We don't know, but it is likely that, if she isn't making a difference, she's distracted by something, right? Or someone. And so I really want to qualify that and clarify that, if you are purple-haired and making a damn difference, cool. We support you. If you're a recovered meth addict and you're making a damn difference, we support you. But if you're not, we're going to call you out on that. Are we all in agreement?
I think, yeah, absolutely. Spot on.
Spot on. And you know what? Addiction to drugs these days it's at an all-time high, and it's killing everybody. The fact that she was a meth addict is one thing. But what do they say about people and stripes, and you can't change their stripes, and zebras don't change their stripes, and the colors and this and that. The policies that stand behind an individual that is a recovered meth addict, in this particular case, I'll give you an example. She wanted to have facilities where people can safely use drugs. I firmly say, I don't want people on drugs at all. I want them to all have healthy lives and families and jobs and everything. So how do we get them out of addiction instead of helping them and aiding and abetting them? So she goes into office. She's really upset with the things that are going on with her party right now, and all of a sudden is claiming to be almost more on a conservative side. It doesn't work that way. If you're upset, that's fine. But you still are going to be the person that is encouraging people safely to use drugs in a facility funded by the state with utensils and devices funded by the state. Either way, your color didn't change.
Yeah.
The foundation of the person didn't change. And so everybody's going, oh, well, she's kind of saying this. And I said, I don't care what she's saying. I've been saying it since day one. And the person that I am since day one is saying, let's get these people off the streets. Let's get them off of drugs. Let's redevelop Lahaina the right way. This is a big topic over here, because what happens when some guy that owned 90% of the real estate down on Front Street gets a giant paycheck, figures out how to eminent domain Bob and Mary's house behind him because he's going to put the commercial real estate there, and it's not in alignment with what the people of Lahaina want. So I don't believe that the party that's sitting in office right now is going to do what the people want. And the people are scared to death because they know it. They said, we hope that they do it this way. Well, we hope means they're not going to. Yeah. So what we need is a person that's going to say, hey, guys, I'll do it. I don't care if everybody is pissed at me. I'll get in the middle. I'll make sure it's redeveloped the way that it's supposed to be. And that is not a political party that's doing that. That is we, the people, that are standing together on that one. And the greatest way to bring that up was when the fire happened. It was a 9/11 moment in Maui. We were all unloading 3 boats in the morning, 2 planes in the afternoon. I'm handing package after gas can after water case to the next person. We had a chain of 40 people that were filling up trucks. Then we would go up to the churches and set up distribution centers. And we did that every day. for about 3 weeks. We didn't have a job at the time, so this was everybody coming together. And it didn't matter what political party you were. We were all together on it. And we were all asking questions as to what the hell happened, because it wasn't adding up. And everybody was. For the first time ever, we got a lot of people in Maui, liberal and conservative, coming together over this topic.
I think your campaign slogan should be "Make Maui Great Again."
Yeah, it is.
Dead serious.
You're spot on.
Yeah.
I think that we're going to go in a direction in this particular one of right now. My wife came up with that. I thought that was really good. Right now was good. Lahaina strong with Armstrong. We've got to go in that thing because of what happened. Obviously, Lahaina being so important, and I would be the representative of the people of the west side of Maui, which is, for the great part, Lahaina.
And in true old guy still rock fashion, you would have to play Van Halen right now.
Oh, yes.
Right here, right now. Actually, you know what? That's going to be a start of your every song. Brent, great job, dude. Every time you come on to speak, you have to have that blaring for them, with the intro and right here, right now.
It's a great song.
Yeah, it's a great song. So I think that Brent, I got to say this before I forget this real quick. I think what you said, and I witnessed it, I saw it. We came back there in October. Lahaina and Maui still reeling to this day, but it was super reeling when we were over there. And you did see people come together. I think that's a big thing is, okay, remember that feeling when we all got back together and we were helping one another and we put down our political differences and really got back to it. That is what, and we could really put that into any city in America. Yours was more extreme of what happened over there. But doing that stuff, remembering 9/11, remembering what happened in Maui, remember what happens in a tornado, whatever the sense is, all of a sudden political problems don't become, or political differences don't become an issue anymore.
Survival.
It's survival. And Brent and I have been talking about this really probably the last 4 to 6 weeks is we've got to stop looking for someone coming on a white horse to save us, because no one's coming. And it really comes down to is if you're Kelly's neighbor, you got to go figure out, it's like, listen, man, I really don't like a lot of things you say most of the time, but there's a couple of things that I agree on. How can I help get Maui back on track? And it's the same thing if you're in Eugene coming up to Brent and like, dude, you may not, I don't know, brother.
Some people don't like my flag.
Some people don't like the flag, right?
Yeah.
And there's people out here, it's like we have some very good friends that are completely on the different side of a political aisle. And we came down and said, we're just going to have conversations. At the end of the day, it's not going to change our friendship. They're good friends of ours. You believe in this, we believe this. And realistically, at the end of the day, it's like social issues.
Yeah.
Right? It's not big. We want a strong economy. We want to hang our flag. We want to go ahead and do different things. I may not be in the religious aspect of that you are, and this is our friends having this conversation, but we want the same things. But socially, I'm kind of here. I'm like, okay, well, dude, I just don't believe in that. But we're going to go golfing in a couple of days, and we're going to have a couple bourbons together. It's going to be fine. But again, we've talked about this a lot, Kelly, and this is what you're going to go through as well. And I know that you have faith, and another reason we have you on here is God made us all different for absolute reason, but everybody has a different talent. Your talent is to step out, be that cornerstone that Maui has been looking for, and you're hoping that other people, stones, if you may, start building that community back together. We'll call it a church. Other people will call it, let's build back Lahaina. So,
faith, it's so interesting that you brought faith into this because it is the cornerstone of everything. But here's the biggest thing. And I think where the people, unfortunately, can't be told stuff. Faith is a great example. I can tell you God exists. I can tell you, but you might not believe it. I can tell you that everything around us is provided to to us because of God and the world that we live in. But you won't believe it unless you see it, right? Mm-hmm. That's the world that we live in right now in America.
Yeah.
So here's what's going to happen. I got a couple predictions. The see it moment for people to wake up, it's coming. I'm not going to be the creator of it, but I promise you that the great unifier that you were talking about is the moment when we have a 9/11 moment again. And unfortunately, and I'm going to make a couple of wild predictions, we'll circle back on this in 6 months and see if it happened. But here's what's going to happen. We're going to have an attack in the United States. I'm not going to be a part of it. The attack in the United States is going to be a result of what happened at the failure at the wall. It's going to come full circle. There's going to be a reason why Trump kept talking about that wall and talking about that wall. So when there is a simultaneous multi-attack event within the United States, people are going to unify and say, Trump was right. We should have put that damn wall in there. But unfortunately, just talking, as Trump has been known to do, and tweeting, as Trump has been known to do, didn't show the faith. They didn't believe it until they actually saw it. Mm-hmm. So I've been thinking a lot about this, and there's only a couple things in this country that affect each and every human. I could go so wide as to say NATO or the world for that matter, but here it is. Energy. And what I don't mean energy as speaking energy, I mean power, electricity. Mm-hmm. What happens when the electrical grid goes down? Who does that affect? Everybody.
Everyone.
What happens if you can't go to the grocery store or the bank or anything? Who does that affect? Everybody. What happens if it was a result of the attack that came from over the wall? Everybody is affected. And something like that, and here's the other prediction, will happen between now and October. And when it does, mark my words, I'll sit back and I'll just say, I didn't want this. But unfortunately, this is the event that will be the great unifier. It'll be the event that everybody says, okay, I see it. Well, right now, it's just conjecture and talk.
Yeah. I think, Brett, we may have a new Andy Damas on our show here. And then, and I think, some people are going to listen to this. We have a wide range of people. They're like, here we go. Is this MAGA stuff? It's like, he's not saying it is a right or left thing. Is he's trying to say is there's absolutely opportunity for us to unite on both sides. So again, take out your connotation, because we hear so much of this on media because someone said Trump or someone said Biden or whatever. Take that out for a second, just for a second. Be a free thinker. No social media. No Fox News, no CNN News, no OAN News, and no disrespect for people that watch those. Just be a free thinker for a second. If that does happen, are you unified with your neighbor enough to help you out? Are you unified with your family to help you out? Are you unified with your best friends to help you out? That's what he's saying is like, we keep seeing these different images. We keep talking about different things. We may have conflicts with different people, but at the end of the day, it's happened. Who are you going to rely on, and who are you going to be able to help if ish gets bad? And Kelly could be completely wrong on this, completely wrong. Could happen, but are we free thinking enough that we can't get back into? And someone said this the other day: is we've got so tied into the information that's in front of our faces all the time. Sometimes we're not taking a peek behind the curtain and seeing what's really going on, because we see it. Oh, that would never happen. That will never happen. All of a sudden things happen, like, damn, how did I miss that? Well, shit. Looked at it 8,000 times and it was just CGI, right? But so I appreciate that you say that, Kelly. I think that's a big thing, is a unification. And Brent and I have been talking about that a lot, is like, got to come together, because ish is not getting any better.
Well, I promise. Oh, sorry, Brent, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Here's my belief. I am the cup half full guy through in, through out. I will run out and help my neighbor. Well, maybe not the one to the right. I mean, that's a joke. but I will help anybody out in any way that I possibly can. I'll tell you, our goal here is just to all come together. But I promise you, We are so close to being right around the corner from the greatest time we have ever seen. And right now, sometimes in the worlds of Sodom and Gomorrah and Babylon and everything, we have to witness the fall of Rome to see the rebirth of something even better. And I do believe we are so close to this greatness right now. This is somewhat political, but not so. It was driven by politics, but I'll give you a great example. I'm so proud of my 16-year-old daughter, Mercedes. She's a phenomenal track runner. Came in number 5 in the state of Hawaii out of something like 16 or 1,700 people that she competed with, which was just unbelievable.
That's amazing.
And one of the people that she had to compete with was a transgender. That has no place in our female sports. If men want to run against men, great. If women want to run against women, great. If transgenders want to compete and run against each other, like even a Special Olympics, that's fine. No problem. Let them do it. But don't put them up against my daughter or anybody else's daughter for that matter. And then they even went so far as to make special rules for that individual. A great example. Nobody could wear ribbons or bows or anything in their hair. But this person was allowed to wear ribbons or bows because they were special. So all the regular girls, which she wanted to be, was a regular girl, weren't allowed to wear their ribbons or bows, but she was able to. I'm really proud to say that my daughter actually whipped his ass in the race too.
Yeah. So that happens.
So on that, you said it earlier, and I want people to really understand, for those that have kids, you'd probably die for your kids. Put yourself in harm's way 100 times, if not once, right? So why can't we use the love and dedication that we have for our children as the common denominator to make whatever we're doing the best we could make it, right? Just get rid of politics altogether and ask the question, is what you're doing, is your agenda you're pushing, would you push this agenda if your kids were going to be affected by it negatively?
You know, Brent, it's amazing because people, and it doesn't matter what side you're on, people say, if I asked, hey, what does the future look like for your kids or your grandkids for that matter? And they'll say, well, I don't know how they'll ever be able to afford a home. I don't know how they'll ever be able to afford college in the direction that we're going with the prices that they are. I don't know how they'll be able to afford food. That's why there's a whole district in Las Vegas that is a Hawaii district now. The Hawaiians are leaving the state of Hawaii in droves because they can't afford it, and they believe that their future generations won't be able to either. So I don't believe that takes a political party stance at what we can or can't afford. I think we can all agree on that. I think we can even ask people, do we think that the cities that we love and cherish, i.e. Portland and Seattle and San Francisco and Los Angeles, have room to better themselves? And I would think that people of both political parties would say, oh yeah, we've got work to do, because they're phenomenal cities. Manhattan, phenomenal city. These are places that we want to all go as Americans and enjoy. They're wonderful. But for some reason, we can also all agree that they aren't what they used to be. So how do we get back to that?
Right.
And who's driving that narrative? Is it actually a political party, or is it somebody even a little bit higher? And I think sometimes when we look at the puppet master, the true puppeteer, and I'll even go so far as to call them a World Economic Forum or a global elite or something that wants a one world government. Is it real? Does it exist? And is the ultimate goal to drive you and I and our political and religious differences apart? Because I believe it is. So when people sit there and they fight all the time over, oh, you're for Ukraine and you're for Israel, not Palestine, and that's what they want. That's what they want. They want us all to fight. They want us all to be separate, and that's not what I want. You know what? I don't want war at all. I don't want Ukraine to be fighting with Russia. I don't want Israel to be fighting with Palestine. I don't want China to be fighting with Taiwan, and mark my words, that's coming next. And then I don't want the UK fighting with, let's say, somebody like us. Again, that would be a new revolution, if you will.
Yeah.
There's some interesting things, but I promise we all want the same things. We want safe, free, no drugs, affordable lifestyle. Your religious beliefs are your own and your political beliefs are your own, but those foundations, I believe, are inherent within each and every one of us.
I really want, there's a couple of things that I want to kind of dive into real quick. And what you said is, first of all, we've lost the lack of communication. We pick our sides and we stay in that side, and you pick your tribe and stay in your tribe. And it's not the way it's meant to be. We've talked about that 100 times over the last 52 episodes beforehand. The biggest thing is what I said earlier too, and the deeper the woods that we get into this issue. And I heard something today, if we just turned off the TV and didn't have this great technology that we have with cell phones and instantaneous information, and really didn't see what was going on and listen to the narratives that both sides play to keep us separated. And I said both sides. So again, doesn't matter what side of the aisle in, there's a narrative on both sides to keep us all separated and angry at each other. If we didn't have that in our face 24/7 and our ears 24/7, there definitely would be communication on this. My thing on here is, I think we spend a lot of time, I don't know how do we go with this. We spend a lot of time just sitting there and devising a way to be angry when something to go out and get it fixed. It just makes me bummed out that we've got to this point that we have to, like, okay, well, you're Republican, you're Democrat, and we forgot that we're Americans, and we forgot if somebody's daughter was being molested or someone's son was being molested, there would be a difference between theirs. And we've just become the part is like, well, it's not our problem. I don't need to worry about it because it doesn't affect me. And we've just become complacent and let the darkness of society trying to overtake the lightness of society. And I know that was a long way around to get to that point, but that's what I just kind of think is we kept sitting back, we kept sitting back, we kept sitting back, we kept sitting back, and now here we are, and now we're trying to fight to get it back. And what Kelly's doing, and I know there's a lot of you guys that watch this that are doing the same thing, is it's really time to turn it up and get in there. You might ruffle some feathers. You might have a little pause in your friendships with your friends or relationships with your family, but you can't sit back anymore. You got to go make, as Brent says, you got to go make a damn difference. And this is a call out to us. You guys have watched this for 52 episodes. This is we're actually not on Thursday today, but this is our Therapy Thursday. So this is a look in the mirror for every single one of us. If we're going to go ahead and talk ish about what we're saying here today, is we have to hold ourselves accountable. And that's what we're asking you to do, is look in the mirror. Are you happy? Are you pissed off? What's going on? Doesn't matter what side you're on. Then go do something about it. Don't sit there and put memes on Facebook or Instagram, or sit there and retweet something. Go do what Kelly's doing and get involved with your community somehow, because I think Brent, you said something, we were talking on the phone earlier there. Keep looking at what the macro level is instead of looking at the micro level.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable. It's not fun. I got better stuff to do after work. I got lots of hobbies. I don't want to go out and go to gatherings every night after work, but somebody's got to do it. And I would encourage anybody to do the same. If we all were to do that, we would be so darn close to greatness right around the corner, because it's not for one party or another. It's for everybody.
Brent, you're the same way, man. You invested a lot of time in building a church, building a school.
Yep.
Now you're building a wellness center. So you are taking things that bothered you that weren't being done and doing them. So talk about that for a little bit and seeing how, here we are again. I'm making a damn difference.
I'm going to take it back to Mark 3:24 through 3:25. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. Right? And so I know that a lot of folks may or may not be religious, may or may not. Regardless of religiosity, the capital C church, politics aside, you can't argue with that statement. Mm-mm. If we are divided, we cannot stand. And we won't. And we need to come together and not be divided anymore. And before we go into Roganisms or Rogan time frame here, you brought this, you triggered me earlier, Kelly, in a good way, with that conservative governor and people just going back to the way that it was. And you've heard this before. If you continue to do what you've always done, you'll continue to get what you've always got. And I really think that summarizes this whole podcast and the bulk of our 52 podcasts, which is the basis for Go Make a Damn Difference.
If you feel like you're at the bottom of the barrel and you want to make a difference, there's nowhere to go but up. And where we are right now is at the bottom of the barrel. And what I ask people of Hawaii or whoever else would be supporting me in this is that, give us a chance, because you haven't so far in 65 years. So what's the worst case? We screw up. Fire us. Go back to the way we are and we'll still be at the bottom of the barrel. Or let's give it a chance. Just maybe we can do something that this state has never seen before. Make a difference that this state has never been seen before. What if we went from number 48 in the nation in education to number 15? Mm-hmm. It's possible, but not the way that we're going. What if we made it so it was an affordable place to live for most of the people in the nation? It's possible, but not with the way that the place is run today. So all I say is give it a chance. You got nothing to lose. We all are yelling and screaming about affordability. We're yelling and screaming about what's going on in our schools. The schools are, I don't know if you know this, and I might be veering off just slightly, and then you can shut me off. The Department of Education is appointed by the governor. That's not the way that it should be. The Department of Education should be elected by the people. And the head of the Department of Education should be elected by the people. And it should be done on a county basis. So we know who's held accountable for it instead of somebody that's just appointed by the governor. Our schools are awful because it's run by the same policies driven behind the governor. So if we had control of that, we could have it where teachers actually show up to work. Teachers could actually afford to come to work. Teachers could afford to be in Hawaii. It's funny. We live in a place in Maui where even recycling is awful. We live on an island. What's up with this green initiative? I thought we were all trying to help the planet, but yet you drive down our roads, you see cars all over the sides of the roads, you see all this crap everywhere. I thought we were supposed to be going green. So who's the one doing that? I'm with you. I'll be the first one to recycle, first one to get rid of the cars, first one to clean the place up. That's one of the top of my list, but they're not doing it. So they're all talk, no action. And all we're saying is, let's put some action behind those words.
Yeah. And I think, the big thing on here is, and I love that's what you said, is it's one thing that I'm encouraging. I don't care if it's not even, it may not be where you're watching this. It may not be in Maui. You may have something going on in your city or your county. And you may have not for a long time because the way that you brought up or what your beliefs are, or stay in your lane and I'm going to believe in this party, right or left. But maybe it's time to sit down with those constituents that are going to be running and have a conversation with them. They always say, come talk to me. I'm an open book. Go ahead and have a talk to them when they're having a debate. Go ahead and grab them. Like, listen, can I have a cup of coffee with you for 15 minutes? Pay them $100. Like, listen, I know your time is money, and maybe you guys don't have those resources to do that. but you owe it to yourself to know. And instead of just because it says Democrat or just because it says Republican or just because it says independent, I'm voting for them, but I really don't know who they are. Kelly's saying, I'm using him as example because he's a guest on our show. If you want to be a guest on the show and say what you want to say, let's do it. We may not agree with what you say. We may agree with everything you say. The point of it is give me a chance. But before you cast your vote, let's have a conversation and find out what you really want to happen and how our things are, this is what my plan is, but I need your help. Kelly is not going to go in there and like, I'm going to change everything and tomorrow everything's going to be great. No, he's like, I'm going to be your voice. I'm going to be your representative. I'm going to sit down to you because I'm the guy that's working at the company that I work at, providing for my family every day. And I'm sick of seeing this stuff happen to the city that I live in. And I know that you are the same too. So let's have a conversation and figure out together how we unite, no matter what side that we sit in. And maybe we're on the same side, but how do we unite and start building this building again, cornerstone, atop of stone, atop of stone, atop of stone to make this a lot better.
Amen.
Yep.
So there we go. So maybe I'll start running too. Probably not. I do a podcast, man. That's where I'm at. This is my forum. So, Kelly, we are in Joe Rogan time. So I love this. This is a long podcast. We kind of I definitely want to bring you back in a couple. When's your election? Obviously November 4th.
5th.
5th. Okay.
Yeah.
So Super Tuesday.
And that is, of course, if November 5th happens the way it's supposed to.
A little peek behind the curtain there.
Yeah.
Right.
So, big things for you happening. So, first of all, how do we follow you? If people want to follow you, either tell you great things or tell you that you're a piece of ish, how do we follow you?
Thank you for that. You can go to kellyjarmstrong.com. The website is getting renewed right now. The first time I ran, I did it with my own funds. We're in a little bit different situation right now because of the fire business isn't what it used to be. Mm-hmm. I would humbly ask whoever would be willing to support my cause. They could go on to kellyjarmstrong.com, click on the donate button, which should be active by the end of today, I think, and donate whatever you can to help me get the word out to people. It's a short race. We only got 5 months to go. I'm the only one that would be new in this game, and I'm the only one that will be the voice of the people. If you want to sit around in a giant circle and give me all of your ideas, I will be the first one to happily go and meet with each and every person. I don't care what party you're in. If you want to yell at me, that's okay too. I've yelled at people over the last couple of years over different things, i.e. the fire. Some people might know me from that. So at any rate, thank you for supporting me. And let's do this one right now.
I love it, man. Congratulations on that, man. Thank you for stepping up and being such an integral part. As I said, it's a micro level, not a macro level. So what you're doing is far beyond your call of duty. Well, actually not really, right? You're an American, so it is your call of duty to go ahead and contribute to society. So I hope this sends a ripple effect to other people. Again, regardless what you think of his beliefs, that's valid points, man. And at the end of the day, all he's talking about is building community. Yep. So maybe it's time for us to put down swords, Brent, any final words for you, my friend?
As always, just go make a damn difference. Thank you for bringing up all these topics and doing it in a way that is not divisive, because I think that's very important. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
A lot of good things happen here, man. And just to watch this episode. So more than anything, as I said at the beginning of this episode, you guys, we are not funded by advertising or sponsors. So just like Kelly we're not asking for donations, though. We are a non-monetary podcast. Brent and I fund this all by ourselves. We get out as many channels as we get it best. So this one, there's two things are going to happen is we're going to get a lot of looks or we're going to be with Andy Frisella and shadow ban for a little bit, but I think it was worth the conversation today.
Yeah.
I know there's a couple guys that this might ruffle some feathers to it, but really just think about it. I mean, stop with the thoughts and really do some free thinking today. But most of all is share this episode, even if you think it's like, God, you would not believe the craziness that was talked about here today. Hey, listen, if we want to go ahead and be your meme of crazy things that are said to be happened, but share this show, like our episode, tell us what you think in the comments on YouTube, tell us what you think in the comments of Spotify. Most of all, follow Kelly Armstrong, follow Brent Wright, follow us for more content and later. But as I always say, guys, stay safe, but most of all, God bless. We love you guys. Thank you for support, and we will talk to you next week. Take care.